Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started. My name is Shannon Mastropolo, and on behalf of my school counseling colleagues and Dana Plunkett, our Director of Counseling, I'd like to welcome you to our Senior Family Night. Our goal tonight is to share an overview of the work that we are doing with your seniors and to have you hear the words of wisdom and insights from our panel of admissions professionals. So James Ash will take you through our side of the post-secondary advising and application process. And then we feel very lucky to have three fantastic panelists with us tonight. John Sokolsky from Tufts University, Scarlett Bittner from UMass Amherst, and Laura Robitaille from University of Wisconsin. And they'll be sharing their insights on this process and the post-secondary landscape. At the end of tonight's session, we will have a period of question and answers, which will be moderated by Will Grannon. He'll be collecting your questions throughout the presentation, so please be sure to use the Q&A function on your screen to enter any questions that you might have. So again, welcome. We're very happy that you could be joining us this evening. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to James Ash.
Thank you, Shannon. And again, thank you to everyone who is able to join us. We know that the fall in particular, a lot goes on in homes and at families, and we appreciate you taking the time to gather some information that hopefully will be very helpful as you all navigate this college and post-secondary process in the fall of your student's senior year. Hopefully by now you know who your student's school counselor is. You can see here alphabetically how we are broken down. Many of you are aware that our new colleague, Nick Holmes, has joined us, replacing Renee Vasquez, and we are very pleased to welcome Nick to our team. Just a little overview about the fall of senior year in particular. First and foremost, I hope you all know that we do this job for a reason, and that is that we really like students. We like working with them, and we are excited to work with all of our students, especially as they embark on senior year. Senior year can be very, very exciting. It can also lead to some stress and some highs and some lows. And we know that you at home will be navigating this process and the fall of senior year and throughout senior year with them. There are many options for students once they graduate Needham High. We often use the term post-secondary process as opposed to college process because we want to make sure that everybody is aware of the different options that are out there. It might be college, it might be a postgraduate year, it might be a gap year, maybe a military option, and there are other things as well. And we are here to help your students with whatever the process is or whatever they're interested in doing. We are not exclusively college counselors. We are post-secondary counselors. Today, indeed, because the amount of students that do go on to colleges and universities, we will focus primarily on college planning. And one of the things that we emphasize is that there's still, even at this moment, is no quote unquote right place to be in the process. There is a lot of chatter when we get back to the fall. The seniors are talking about college. They're talking about where they're applying. They're talking about how far they are. They're talking about how they're writing their essays and they're doing their supplements. And it can create some anxiety. We encourage people to remember it is a very individual process and there is no right place. They have to be right now. I was thinking as I was reviewing some of these ideas of a student of mine last year who went through the process exclusively applying regular decision, started senior year with some ideas, but really did a lot of research, developed the list, did some visits, got into a multitude of colleges and is very, very happy. And so it all doesn't have to happen yesterday, and students, again, are really encouraged to think about their own individual process and not worry as much about what others are doing. Just a few friendly reminders and suggestions. First and foremost, please remember this is a student-centered process. We hope that the students are doing the work, that they are doing their applications, they're doing their essays, that they have put some thought into where it is they would like to go. Going back last year when we first started this, and talking about this location, size, setting. Those sorts of things are super important, and we encourage you to listen to your students, to certainly help when asked, to maintain some positivity and provide some support, but uh, not to talk about this process too much at home. I'd say we all run into students who come into our offices and they're frustrated because every dinner table discussion has to do with college and what have you done about college and what are you doing about your college and how's your essay going and so on and so on. Sometimes it's nice to set some time aside with your student, maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, whatever fits your family's schedule, where, okay, we're going to talk about this stuff here. Student agrees to share whatever it is you want to know, but again, not to make it the topic of discussion at every meal. Certainly at family gatherings and holidays, please be aware that family members are going to be asking all the time, oh, what are you doing next year? How's your college process? And that can get wearing. So just please keep that in mind. Now, one thing we do want you to talk about at some point and throughout this process is to talk about the cost of college and paying for college. And are we applying for financial aid? Please don't wait until April to bring this up. Every so often, students will get really excited about a school or two or three. They go through the process, they get in, and they're making a decision. And then at that point, come April, when you're ready to put a deposit down, then the families come in and say, well, we can't afford that one and that one and that one. And that can be really hard and really discouraging and just a challenge overall. So just make sure that you are aware and your student is aware about the cost. Are you applying for financial aid and so on? Generally speaking, we do ask the families, the parents, the caretakers to sort of take the lead on this. Some of you have been through this process already, perhaps have been through the financial aid process, but it can be important. And so please educate yourself. We have some resources. MIFA is a great resource that we refer people to a lot, the Mass Educational Financing Authority, among others. So please do talk about that. But again, in your discussions, please spread them out and be measured. And then one thing that we all find that really helps the stress in this process is having a list that is balanced, that it is not filled with all sorts of what we would call reach schools. Students hopefully spend as much time researching what we would call target schools, and certainly spend as much time targeting what we would call likely schools, schools that they are likely to get into. Certainly, there's never a guarantee, but every so often, a student will come to us and say, well, I'm applying to school X. I don't really want to go there. It's just my likely. I know I could get in. Well, please remember there are 4,000 colleges in the United States alone, plus or minus. And students should be able to find even likely schools that check the boxes that they really are looking for and that they would be excited to attend. Very, very important. Sometimes students ask, how many colleges should I apply to? There is no absolute set number. If I and we generally say about 8 to 10 colleges, the 242, the 343, depends on how many your total is. 2 reaches, 4 targets, 2 likelies, or 3 reaches, 4 targets, 3 likelies, depending. But if a student is thinking too much about reaches and spending all their time on that, the concern is that they will be setting themselves up for disappointment, excuse me, because this is a competitive process, and certainly with some colleges, it is more competitive than with others. We were talking today about how we come back from the summer and everybody's relaxed, and then you pretty much go from 0 to 60. And we wanted to share a little bit about what we've been doing already this fall and a couple of things to highlight that will be happening as we move along throughout the fall. We have all, the school counselors, had senior group meetings with all of our students, all the students in our own caseloads in small groups. We have shared with them a slideshow and talked a little bit about what they should be thinking about for senior year. Junior year, it continues to be about research, self-reflection. Senior year, those things continue, but we also start getting into the nuts and bolts of the application process. Writing essays, deadlines, how to request school information be sent, who has what responsibilities, and that sort of thing. So we've had those senior group meetings already. We have all started meeting with our students individually to catch up with where they are in the process. As we said at the beginning, there's no right place to be, but we want to, as quickly as we can, learn where students are so that we can meet them where it would be most helpful. We will have individual meetings with all our students, and then going forward throughout the fall, students can access us as often really as they want and need. They can email, they can set up appointments, they can drop by, and we are here to help them with whatever aspect of this process they need help with. About a week ago or so, college reps started visiting Needham High School. Throughout the fall, as many of you know, admissions representatives travel their territories, they visit schools, they meet students, they answer questions, and it's a really great opportunity for students to take advantage of. And many of our students do, and they treat these visits with a great deal of respect. Very few of our students misuse the privilege. There is a schedule of who is visiting on the students' score accounts. We've shown them all where it is. It is started again, like I said last week, and it goes really through the beginning of November. Usually each day, we often have 3 or 4, sometimes 5 colleges visit, and students can sign up on SCORE, and then they would get a pass to bring to a teacher if indeed they're going to miss a class. The teacher signs that pass, they bring it with them to attend the session. Most teachers are very, very understanding, and they know that these visits are important, and most of the time, teachers don't have a problem letting students go and visit with our college admissions reps. The Tech College Fair, you will hear more information about that as we get closer. It is upcoming October 7th at Waltham High. In any given year, there's usually approximately 150 colleges there, and that's yet another opportunity for students to meet with an admission rep, to gather more information, to get some questions answered, and we encourage those that would like to attend. And throughout the process, I mentioned one of the things that students sometimes want to explore is the idea of taking a gap year, taking a year after high school and before they enroll in college or matriculate at college to do something else, to do something they want to do. And that gap year can look like any number of things. The Gap Year Information Night on January 7th will highlight programs, organizations that have opportunities specifically designed for students taking gap years. And if a student is thinking about it, or they are going through the college process and they think that maybe, I'd like to see what some other options are, knowing that I will go to college eventually, the Gap Year Information Night might be something to attend. We point out our counseling website. We have redone our website about a year ago, and it's much more robust and detailed than it used to be. There are a number of things on here that we would like to direct you to. What you're seeing here, I know the print is very small, but this is just some information about grade 12 in our 4 years at a glance section. There is a post-secondary section that has a number of things that may be helpful in this process. And Ms. Plunkett, our director, there is a feed at the top of this where she puts a great deal of information pretty regularly. So if you are looking for some further information, our counseling website might be a good place to start. And finally, I just wanted to touch base on some very basic responsibilities. Who sends what sometimes that we talk about. And in this slide, you can see that students will be applying to a college or, in many cases, multiple colleges. And if you look at the student responsibilities, they're responsible for certain things, such as sending the application, which in many ways goes without saying, but every once in a while we do get a question if a student turns it into us and we send it. We don't. The student is in charge of sending their application. When they've completed it, when it's been looked at and they're ready to send it, they can hit that send button. Along with that go certain things such as the college essay. Every college in the common application will have some supplemental questions. Sometimes they'll have some supplemental writings. Those would go along with the application. There is usually an application fee. If the finances are a concern and you think you may qualify for an application fee waiver, talk to your school counselor. Sometimes students will send test scores. Sometimes students will have a recommendation from someone outside of Needham High School. and students are responsible and families for sending financial aid forms when appropriate. If a student is sending test scores, often, but not always, they can include that on their Common App and they are self-reported, and colleges will accept that. There are still some colleges, though, if they are requiring test scores or if a student wants to submit test scores, sometimes they do have to do it through the testing agency, whether it's the College Board for an SAT or or the ACT for an ACT. The one thing I did skip quickly is STARS. And the last few years, uh, what used to be called the Self-Reported Academic Record, or the SRAR, has become more popular. And that simply is a step that is done with some colleges and at different times in the application process. What that is simply a student taking their transcript and filling in one uniform format for the college admissions reps to review. As you could imagine, transcripts vary dramatically in terms of what they look like, and this is just a way to help the college admissions reps review applications more efficiently and more effectively. Some colleges, not too many, but some have the students do a STARS form on the Common Application. Some students and many will get that information in the application process. Often they do it after applying. They will get information about setting up a student portal, and they log into their portal, and there are often instructions within that portal that they should follow and keep track of. The school counselors are in charge of sending the school information. That's what makes it quote unquote official. That includes, not necessarily limited to, their transcript. It includes the Needham High School profile. It includes the recommendation that we all have written for our students, and it includes the teacher recommendation or recommendations, depending on how many a student has secured and how many they need. The vast majority of colleges still ask for one school counselor and one teacher rec, but many nowadays may ask for more than that. We have discussed that with your students kind of throughout the process junior year, and certainly we'll continue to talk about that into senior year. We will send the transcript before the deadline, this other school information before any deadline. In most cases, if a student is sending an application early, whether it's early decision or early action, quarter one grades and quarter two grades won't be available. The transcript will include final grades from 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, as well as the courses they're taking senior year. But then when quarter one grades become available, we, the school counselors, will automatically send those quarter one grades to the colleges the student has applied to already. How do they get us to do that? The student fills out, as you see, the document request form. That is the way the student officially tells us where and when they are applying, and that also gives us permission to send their school docs. That loads a spreadsheet that we all follow and monitor daily throughout the fall, and we will send their school information at the appropriate time. The document request form, a student fills out one of those for each school they're applying to, but it's a very brief document. It should take them no more than about 2 minutes to fill out for each college. Everything will meet at the college. It doesn't matter what gets there first. They will open up a file, and then they will take and put in the file whatever else comes in thereafter. It does not matter. A student can apply without having done the document request form. The student can do the document request form without having applied yet. Okay. So this may have generated some questions. Certainly, I encourage you to put some in the chat. If there are, we are here to help with email. You can call us. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have. And now I would like to turn it over